Hi there, and welcome to this week's Impromptu Android Developer Office Hours. I'm here with Matt Gorn, our brand new Google TV developer advocate for Europe, and the friendly face of Nick Butcher behind me. We weren't planning to do one this week, but there's so much stuff that's come through from Google I/O that we thought we'd jump in here and let you come along and ask questions if you have any on all of those lovely things that were launched, from the Nexus Q, the Nexus 7. We can finally show you these. We used to have them down here, typing away when you were asking questions like Matt's doing now. That would be on a Nexus 7. But now we can hold them out proudly and be like, oh, yes, this is the answer to your question. So if you've got any questions today, feel free to jump in or ask questions on the G+ thread. I'm just going to bring it up on our other screen. And if you want to jump in here, also ask on the G+ thread, and I'll invite you into the live session. Let's put that one up there. Hanging out right now. Come ask us Android dev questions or just chilling for the recent announcements. Cheers, dude. We do have the standard Dory as well, the moderator, sorry, to those outside of Google. I just need to pick up the link for it, and I'll post it in the messaging thread as well. This one. Lots of ticking going along. There we go. Or, if you came to Google I/O, I'd love to hear your favorite bits, things that you liked. I'm just posting the link to the Dory now in the thread. Here is the moderator. And if you don't know what this is, then you can come in and ask what that is as well, because it's awesome.
It's not a bomb.
It might be, but it's probably not.
Looks like a countdown.
The people in customs certainly thought it was. Today's hangout.
How many people were responsible for being entertained for a little while?
Well, we have. Actually, we should open the YouTube thread as well. We've got 11 people watching on YouTube already. Watching our monkey about, hello YouTube. Is it youtube.com/Android developers?
Yeah.
I'll open the moderator page, and all these things will come together. Sorry for the total randomness of today's broadcast, but we just decided, interesting, that we just do one today, just in case you have any questions. So we do have one question. How long do the Hangouts usually last, and are you planning always hosting them at 2 o'clock, from Elena Myers? They're almost always an hour, from 2 p.m. till 3 p.m., unless we have technical issues, which right now happens quite consistently, because this isn't actually a studio. We're getting our studio ready, and that should make us a far more reliable team. So from in a couple of weeks' time, we should be quite reliable at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. GMT on Wednesdays.
So we have settled down on 2 p.m. mostly because we're having this hangout in 3 different time zones. So first off in Asia Pacific time zone, 2 p.m. their time, then 2 p.m. here in London, and then 2 p.m. over on the west coast of America. So it seems to settle down to a nice kind of 8-hour gap pattern. But if that time doesn't work for you, you've got feedback that you'd rather do it, outside of your work hours or some other feedback, then let us know. Drop a comment on the G+ post, or just put it in the moderator like you already have, and let us know when might be better for you if it's not working.
And at the same time, I'm going to try and set the time on this thing that's counting down a bit like a bomb to the right time. There you go. That's the time that we have right now. It's 25 past 2, because we're in the London office. It's backwards.
Mirror, right.
Yeah, does this help? Not really. Yeah.
Surely that's your first hack for that thing.
My first hack for the ADK, I think you just said what it is now. This is the new Android ADK, the new accessory development kit. It used to just be that Arduino board that looked quite rough and ready, but you could hack some awesome accessories together. Now it's turned into this entire product. And on the inside you have the more familiar ADK board and wiring and stuff. But this beautiful thing also has NFC, it has these big LED readouts, it has a speaker, it has Bluetooth, music profiles, so you can use it as a Bluetooth speaker. There's capacitive sensors up here for controlling the volume. There's a color sensor on the front, so you can say, I want the screen to be whatever color, and it should all change. We can try that in a minute. because it's bound not to work. I should change the colour first of all to something other than green, because everything in this room is green. So let's just go for a red screen to start with.
So while we haven't got anyone else joining us live on the Hangout, why don't we just chat about what our favourite announcements were from Google I/O?
Hi, Ethan and Patrick.
So, Matt, how about you? What did you like?
What, apart from the obviously blatant display of glass and the most epic way to introduce it?
Yeah, that was a good start.
Yeah, that was obviously good fun. But yeah, I think for me it was the Jelly Bean announcement. Like the amount of effort that's kind of gone into that. The UI looks so smooth, so silky smooth. Same with the Nexus 7. Like seeing it displayed on that is really, really nice. So I think for me that was one of the main announcements.
Cool.
Yeah.
How are you, Rich?
What was my best thing about I/O?
Yeah.
My best thing about I/O is I can't leak anything anymore. It's all public. I don't have to hide my Nexus 7 on the tube, and it's a perfect tube device with all the media capabilities. I can run Jelly Bean on my Galaxy Nexus without anyone trying to find Easter eggs and muck about that are Easter eggs. And the Nexus tube, when people come around my house and like, what's that for? I don't just have to tell them it's Lisa's favourite ornament. Stuff now. So yeah, just generally so much stuff got announced at I/O, especially relating to Android.
Your favourite thing was all the stuff.
All the stuff.
More announcements.
Meeting even more awesome developers. Spent a long time on office hours, and on office hours there was always a queue of people coming asking very technical questions on Android. Did you already run through yours?
No, I haven't.
Well,
For me, I think it was this guy, Nexus 7. I've been really excited about the direction Android design and having these responsive apps have been taken for a while. But I think a lot of developers have held off implementing a lot of these things because they didn't see the business case perhaps. And I think this is going to change that. I think this device is hot and it's going to sell a bunch. So I think it's time to reevaluate your position and get your apps using fragments and using multi-pane layouts and get them more beautifully scaling and using polythemes. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Excellent. All right, so let's do this little quick demo. So here's the color sensor. I say on here that I want it to pick up color. I'm going to hold the cushion in front of it. Now you're never going to believe whether or not it's true. Oh, did you actually see that? Maybe it was on the screen. Hopefully now the screen of that is similar to this color.
It's magic.
It's great when it's in your house. The missus is like, I hate the color of that. What color do you see? Color sensor on the APK and NFC. Okay, let's have a look through all the different sets of comments and see what we've got coming in. One quick one, Patrick has asked what happens to the podcast.
So I think Rito is still keen on doing that. I think he did the first one as an experiment to see what the interest was like. But I think basically with Google I/O last week, everything kind of got buried under preparation for that. So yeah, you're doing the right things. Plus mention him, tell him that you're interested in it, and hopefully that will become a regular thing.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more likely to happen for the office hours than it is for the app reviews and the game reviews. They seem to be far more visual, or they are far more visual. So hopefully,
if you're interested in having a video podcast of some of those things, then also chime in, let us know what you think, and we might start looking at that.
Let Rito know. He deals with that. If everyone bugs Rito on it, then it'll probably happen. Just to stop it. Oh, Malcolm, hey, will the Google Drive collaboration API planned for the future be compatible with Android? For example, I can wire up collaboration listener to a text box. Good question. As usual, unsurprisingly, we can't comment on future roadmaps, but it's a good idea. I'll definitely pass it on to the Drive team. Lee, will the OTA that is about to roll out to the US go live in the UK? I don't know anything about that, unfortunately, and I can't comment on it. Good question, though. No, audio podcast is more convenient. That's Patrick. Hopefully we'll be able to do all of those when we've got our studio and things become slightly more automated. What's the easiest way to start with Android developing? Is there a specific IDE you guys use? Well, yes. But first of all, the easiest way is to go to developer.android.com. And from there you can follow the links to our training. We have 101 class training as well to really get you started, and a whole lot of really useful developer information. We also have the installation guide, which will lead you, I believe now, it will lead you to either Eclipse or IntelliJ.
So I'm an Eclipse user just because I've been using it for years, and it seems to be the first one to get the ADT updates, which I like to stay on top of.
I'm an IntelliJ user. I used to use Eclipse, but one day Eclipse was updating, and it was taking so long that during the update, I installed IntelliJ, made the fixes to my apps, and published them into the Android market, Google Play Store, before Eclipse had finished updating. And drink, yeah. Every time we say Android market, somebody has to drink. So I think when I personally go for IntelliJ, it just seems so much easier now. It has the Android developer tools plug-in by default. It's just there. It supports CVS, SVN, and Git by default, loads of Eclipse. On the basic versions, you have to go installing plugins and things. I found it very easy to get up and running. They've also just added Visual IDE for creating Android layouts into IntelliJ, and that's the IDEA Community Edition. So it is free as well.
Which is very cool, but all the stuff that Tor's doing in the Eclipse plugin is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
The Eclipse is the one that's kind of officially supported by our tools team.
If you didn't catch it, there was an excellent session last Thursday morning, What's New in Android Tools, with Sam and Tor, the amazing team who build those tools. So yeah, they demonstrated some of the latest stuff which I wasn't even aware of, and some stuff that's coming. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend checking it out for your tooling.
Yeah, there are some of the tools that don't run on Lint yet, although we're trying to make more and more of them command line based, and the Lint guys catch up pretty quickly. The IDEA IntelliJ guys catch up pretty quickly.
Jan in the comments asks, how about App Compat library, any ETA to release? So by App Compat, are you talking about the Action Bar Compat that Adam Powell announced? If so, then no, we don't really give ETAs to release. But so if that's what you mean, then well, either way, we don't really give ETAs, I'm afraid.
Well, let's invite Jan in, and hopefully he'll jump on and we can talk about the App Compat library. Whatever it may be. Anyone else who wants to jump in as well, live on the session, can just ping in the Google Plus comments, and we'll add you on so you can come in and ask your question live. Okay, we've got one more. All right, we'll go with Patrick's first. I put it in the moderator. I had to compress text for moderator. My widgets stopped interacting with my application. One of the buttons is really simple. It has a pending intent to start the application's main activity. What could stop a pending intent from working, and how can we get logcat info on the pending intents? So I've never seen this actually during production of an application. I've only seen it during development. If you're developing a widget-based application and you add the widget to your home screen, and then you push a new version of the application onto the device, then it's possible that it won't launch on the intent because things do get a bit out of sync. You have to remove the widget and add it again. But I've certainly never, once the application is finalized and signed with your production keys and put into the Play Store, I've never experienced that. So if you have any more details on it, on the issue, please put them in, and we can look into it in more detail for you. That's Patrick, Julian. I had you in as well, just in case you said.
So a bunch of questions are coming in saying, when is X being released? And just to reiterate, as you said at the top of this hangout, we're here to talk about Android development and what's going on in Android generally, but we're not here to make any product announcements. So we're not going to give you any information on unreleased stuff, and we're definitely not going to talk about release dates that haven't been announced and so on and so forth. So you can ask those questions, but we won't answer them.
Yeah, this is all about developers asking, hopefully technical questions.
Mostly we don't know the answers.
About Android.
And
Yeah,
stuff changes. And if we tell you one thing, it'll probably be wrong in a week. So you may as well just wait. Sorry.
So, yeah, x86 Jelly Bean 18. And when the new developer console is available. Would be nice.
So they want to see the session at I/O which previewed the developer console, which is developed 30 yards over there. Very exciting.
Oh, what is the timer? What should I ask? All right, the timer thing at the front for people who have just joined isn't the bomb. It's the brand new accessory development kit. So hopefully it will be available via accessories.android.com in the not too distant future, if not already. It was given out to people at Google I/O who attended the ADK talk, and it comes with a product that you can use as a Bluetooth music player and clock and other things, and you control it by your phone by USB or Bluetooth. But it is to enable Android developers to build accessories. So on the inside, it's got all the normal ADK stuff. It's got touch sensors on the top. It's got NFC. It's got these display on the front, the Bluetooth speaker, and then the full ADK2 board, which now has an SD card slot. Yeah, it's an Arduino-based board, so you can control it when you're prototyping your accessories, and hopefully do rapid accessory development for Android. And it's kind of cool as well. So the things a lot of people made when they got the ADK1 was little remote-controlled Android robots, because that was very easy. It came with a bunch of motors and relays and things like that. We're yet to see what people build with the new capabilities of the ADK2. Let's see if I can pull it up. So since we have Matt in the room as well, we might as well put him on the spot and ask if there was any thing from Google I/O about Google TV that you wanted to talk about.
No, it's a cool couple of things. So the main one that kind of launched the beta for YouTube Player. So it's a really nice, easy way for developers to get YouTube videos and YouTube channels directly into their application. So kind of sidesteps a lot of the media player, and you literally just plug it in, give it a URL, and then it'll just start playing the YouTube stuff. So that's what we're using the I/O app. So it can do live streaming, closed captions, all those kind of good stuff.
So it's not GTV specific, it works on all Android?
I believe, yeah, the library should be available, so it should work on all the Android stuff, which would be really nice. But again, that's only a beta release. We're playing around with it at YouTube Hackathon this weekend, so it'd be cool to see what guys come up with at that. Came out with some new streaming protocols. So basically we've this is GTV specific, but basically we've opened up a load of the media player stuff, so then you can do custom codecs as well as a whole load of DRM and other codecs which are slightly more kind of used in mainstream video and stuff. So it's things like Widevine is now supported, things that in the Android platform aren't supported at the moment. And at the moment we are kind of hoping that eventually it'll get over to Android. There's kind of talks, but again it's kind of one of those things where it is literally talking about it, working out how we can make it happen.
You've been running at full speed to get it working for GTV, and now you're going to work out how to merge it back to the main branch.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, obviously we've got all the new devices that have come out. The Vizio was absolutely amazing over in the US, which is a little $99 box. Really, really cool. And then obviously Sony releasing their new box set, which is going to be released all over Europe. So yeah, it's exciting times.
So that's the other thing, the announcement of launching in Europe, right? That just came out.
Yep, hence the reason why I'm here. So yeah, hopefully it'll get to a point where we can start doing some Google TV events all around Europe. So again,
Excellent.
need to get that going.
Need to get that going. Good morning, Danny.
So good questions have come in from Yohani from Android UI patterns and stuff. He asks, why would you ever use Max SDK version in your manifest? Because he's somehow managed to get Jelly Bean on his Galaxy Nexus, and lots of apps don't seem to be available. So I can think of exactly one use case of using Max SDK, which is if you want to stop supporting a very old version of platforms, to say you don't want to support users on Eclair anymore or something like that, you might use multi-APK, then use the Max SDK to kind of lop off a version which you're no longer going to actively develop, and just have it available through the multi-APK feature, and then continue your active development onwards. So that's the only use case I can think of. Have you guys ever had to use Max SDK?
No. And as Dan and Ian and Diane always say, don't use Max SDK. Please don't. We'd rather that people don't use Max SDK, of course. And that they just use the latest SDKs to test their applications and make sure they work. For the most part, they will without any issues. Also, for the multiple APK stuff, it will use the latest APK that supports that API version anyway. So if you're using Min SDK on the newer versions, I guess it will happen automatically.
See, the only curveball I can think of is when you've worked on something where the APIs have had a major overhaul between different versions, but at that point, if it's had one major overhaul, it's unlikely to have another one. So the contacts API is like a good example of that. But yeah, it's depending on how skeptical you really want to be, basically. So yeah,
it's just annoying. Please don't use it.
Yeah.
In case you didn't get that, don't use Max SDK.
Yeah. Don't use Max.
It's bad.
Okay, Jan Souza, how can I differentiate the Nexus 7 screen with a normal tablet 10-inch? I use layout large, but I need different layout to Nexus 7.
Layout dash SW600DP.
Yeah, so the shortest width layout buckets are the ones to go for. Instead of using layout large, you can lay out SW600 would be for this, and then SW722 and above would be for the 10 inches. Actually about SW800. Hey!
I would use SW720 rather than...
Yeah. I'd go with 720 as well, because there are some 720 devices. LG have one.
So this
So
is some,
it comes to the point, yeah, really from Android 3.2 onwards, you don't really want to be using the size buckets anymore. They're just not granular enough for this kind of targeting. You want to be looking at the DP-based filters.
And Johanni's just joined us live in the Hangouts as well. Hey, Johanni.
Hi, what's going on?
Good to see you.
You're at home? You're not in England yet?
I'm in England tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
So do you have anything you wanted to talk about specifically? Did you catch what we were just saying whilst you were joining the Hangout?
Yeah, I was looking at the YouTube stuff. No, I just wanted to say.
It's good to have you on. I think it's the first time we've had you in into the Hangout Live.
I've been sitting on the couch once.
Sat right here once. I don't think you were here.
Okay, I wasn't here for the one year on the couch. I must have missed it.
Also for Jan, asking about how to differentiate Nexus 7. If you are looking to target the Nexus 7, I just did a quick summary of lots of ways to target it and optimize your application for Nexus 7. So if you check out my public stream, I'm just plus Nick Butcher, then you should see a bunch of handy tips for optimizing your app for Nexus 7. So Johanni, you say you managed to get Jelly Bean running on your phone. What are your impressions? I'm not going to ask how, but what
Yeah, it's the XDA magic. It's amazing. The guy's really, it's amazing it's still the same phone. Can't believe it's the same hardware. It wouldn't have been so impressive if it was for a new phone and it feels like new phone. But it's the same phone I've been using for ages.
What, so basically the smoothness and responsiveness mostly?
Yeah, the smoothness. I like the new graphics and stuff too. The notifications is amazing. I think that's the best improvement of the whole thing. I can't wait the apps to all implement the new notifications.
Those of you who haven't played with the rich notifications system yet, or, I encourage you to watch the What's New in Android session, which is hosted by Roman and Chet, but features Daniel Sandler, who was the PM on that feature, and they're amazing. Once you get used to using them, like the Gmail app, for example, is just all of a sudden so much more useful. You don't have to context switch all the time. You can just drag down notifications, see who all the latest messages are, whether you need to dive into your inbox and respond to them, and just swipe them away otherwise. Once you get used to working that way, it makes me want every single app to have these rich notifications. So I highly encourage you to take a look at that feature.
And take a look at the Jake's Combat extension of the library.
Rich notification.
Yes, so Jake Wharton has written a compatibility layer to help you do that. I'm pretty sure that it's actually coming to the support library at some point. I just don't know when that's going to land. So until then, Jake has done us a favour yet again.
Okay, that one's going alright. So
what does anyone think of the Nexus Q? I mean, so far it's fairly limited in its capabilities, but what I'm really excited about it is, having this persistent piece of hardware running in your lounge, and I'm already seeing lots of developers hacking it, but, that was kind of the intended behavior, so I'm really excited to see what that product kind of grows into, really. But what do you guys think about it?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic little thing. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Let's start with that. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of device. The whole idea of social sharing of content. It's it's really nice. I think it's been executed perfectly, to be honest.
Cool. Yeah, there were a couple of parties around when we were in Mountain View over the last couple of weeks, where they were very useful to have these little devices around. People just run in and play what music they wanted. But as Nick points out, the best things are yet to come with it, I believe. So as people hack it and develop some things for it.
Yeah, I'd like to see
the offering expand, I'm sure.
I'd like to see those guys open up some APIs, hopefully at some point, so that all media apps will stream to it and so on. But we'll see how that product develops. I don't know. I don't work on it.
It's interesting for us, especially in what we are building for Google TV, like see how it fits the system, the ecosystem. But I think what a lot of blogs, I haven't seen the device and haven't used it. I hope I get hands on one. But I think what a lot of blogs have been missing is the seamless, how easy it is. The point of the thing seems to be get to use the same applications. You don't have to have separate applications. You have to worry about it.
Oh, we're having a technical thing. Our speaker's not working. So there's a giant picture of Richard's head. Preoccupied.
Oh, hey. Whoa. Are they even plugged into?
Oh, that's better. Right, can you repeat that, honey?
Sure. So I think that some things. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Cool. So I think what the blocks seem to be missing, I think, is the seamless integration, and they kind of that's the way the internet should work, and the older devices should work together. It's like you don't have to worry about which device you're playing to. Each of the blocks that review just keep saying that's limited, it's limited. But it's not the point of the device, in my opinion. The point is to make it really easy for you to. You have your device, you play your music, you walk home, you just press one button and it plays in your living room. Quite interesting. But I really, I'm kind of seeing the how will it work together with Google TV is going to be the question for me and my company. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But anyways, it's going to be good for me anyways, because I'm running Android, and so it doesn't really matter which one I'd like to.
Yeah, good point. And for developers, yeah, there's not much of a developer story there right now, other than, you know, ADB install, but there's some stuff in the Jelly Bean SDK, like you can look at the media router class and the media router provider, I think, which is like a action provider, media action provider, I think, for doing things like the YouTube app and the music app does for picking different like targets for your audio and playback and so on and so forth. So you could start reading up on that.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things I kind of say is that at the moment the Nexus Q is kind of a product in its own right, and it's kind of targeting that social sharing of content. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, especially because at the moment Google TV is more aimed to be a platform for developers to get on board with, as well as OEMs to then implement themselves. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because at the moment, yeah, they are two completely different products, separate products, yeah.
And then there's the Chromebox.
Yeah.
Some people went home from Google I/O with the Chromebox, the Google TV, and the Nexus Q, and had to go and buy a new HDMI switcher just to plug them all in. It's the trial I'd have.
First world problems.
First world problems. They all plug straight into the TV.
And then there was the people who went to the Sony Google TV party and then got given a Sony Google TV as well.
Yeah.
So they were collecting all the goodies.
There's a lot of giveaways.
So in the chat
I see
comments, please.
Sorry. So there was an interesting article in The Verge, some startup companies starting to build a gaming tube for running Android. That's going to be a yet third thing in your living room. Of course, they have streaming box running Android.
All about consumer choice these days.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting. If you see what games are coming out, I think you guys had a Google Plus, the new game yesterday. Amazing Zombie Zulu. Like that stuff runs on your phone. If you put that on TV, it's going to be still amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Andrew, it is Android running on the Nexus Q at the moment. You can plug in ADB and inspect it and find out the version numbers and things, but it is a fully functional version of Android on the Nexus Q.
Yeah, I saw some photos from Al.
Yes? Has he been debugging his Nexus Q, has he?
He's got launchers and whatnot, everything running.
He sent a picture of Market, the Google Play running and stuff.
Oh, he's put the Google Play Store on it?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know anyone had done that yet. I thought it would take at least, like, 4 days.
No, I saw there was a hackathon in Germany I saw where someone hooked up to a projector and they had all these different input devices hooked up to it. So they had like a brainwave sensor and they were using that to control a game running on the queue and then coming out on the projector, which was pretty cool. So I thought that was in the first weekend after
It's quite a powerful device, isn't it? It's dual core.
It's basically a Galaxy Nexus, yeah.
Yeah.
In a spherical form.
With awesome audio capabilities.
Bai on the chat comments asks, how many devices will support JB? Will it come to device X? So the only ones that have been announced so far are the ones that Google controls. So that's the Galaxy Nexus, the Nexus S, and the Wi-Fi edition of the Motorola Zoom. So those are the only ones that which we can hit a button and push over-the-air updates to. For other devices, other kind of carrier or OEM controlled ones, you would have to ask them, because they control it, not us. But you know, once we ship it, mid-July, I think we said we're going to be the first OTA is going out. That's when we normally open source the code. So you know, bug your OEMs and carriers and tell them you demand it.
Andrew Hume says, will Project Butter take a noticeable hit on application computation performance? The question implies that Project Butter is using extra CPU to make the UI smoother. But counter to that, it was a process taken on by the entire Android Eng team to improve the performance of Android by removing what we were calling jank at the time and streamlining the OS. So I think it's more that the application computation performance will actually increase because the process is having to do less to get the screen rendering.
It's more like being smarter rather than doing more. Yeah. If you watch the, was it For Better or For Worse, that goes into some depth describing the processes we went through. So it's not, there's some stuff which we're doing extra work, like ramping up the CPU when touch boost or whatever we're calling it, when it detects touch on screen, which might have an impact on system resources, but only in a positive way really. But yeah, it's really just about being smarter about how we do things.
Mm-hmm. And the triple buffering again may take a little bit more memory, but if you've got the memory to use, it will turn on. But that was, as Nick points out, you can watch the full Butterall talk from Google I/O soon.
It's fantastic.
Chet and Roman.
Have we got any more before that? Or we've been chatting?
Oh, have I been appearing fast? I've been scrolling.
No, I think we did.
Right. If you want to play with Jelly Bean early, Alex, you can grab the SDK for it. The preview SDK is available via the SDK manager. You can get your 4.1 and set up an emulator. Hopefully you have hardware emulation support and OpenGL support on your machine. Then you can set up a super fast emulator, which lets you at least pretend to play with Jelly Bean on the Galaxy Nexus.
So one of the other things which I'm really excited about was the templates, which got launched as part of the ADT tooling. So now when you update to ADT 20 and go to in Eclipse, File, New Project, you have a bunch of different, well, only a few to start with, but more coming of different templates. So Johanni, I know you've had a look at these. What do you think of this?
That was amazing. I think it's just, it's going to be one of the things like, so we've been hearing preaching about not tablet applications, but even the one template, there was more than one template, but the master detail template, it's going to make it so much easier. And the thing is, I looked at the code it generates, it's really easy to start from that point. Usually the code generation stuff is difficult because once you want to change it, you can't do anything. Now this is done really well, so it's really easy to kind of get a starting point. And most of the applications are lists and details anyways.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. And I like this wiping thing.
Roman
Nurik, yeah.
He's done a lot of work on that.
Also, there'll be more templates coming. But yeah, this whole original set were done by Roman, and they are awesome. You can now, as you said in your post, Johanni, mind blown. I've just created a multiple fragment app without writing any code or something. It was, just file new project.
Really good.
It is lovely. That was the boilerplate around setting up a fragment, two-frame fragment project before was a bit of a pain.
So yeah, current caveats that it's what is it? Ice cream sandwich plus. So the goal is to bring that back somewhat, but that's somewhat tied to our announcement that we're working on the backwards compatible version of the action bar. So it's kind of those things are tied together.
Yeah, it'll come together soon. So I've just switched back over to the moderator, and a bunch of questions have appeared on that. So let's have a look through some of those. I'm new to Android development. This is PLA from Goose Creek. I have an app that I want to add horizontal swipe to move through a list of orders. Do I need to move from activities to fragments and implement the view pager? So there's two parts to the question. No, you don't need to move to fragments to use the view pager. It works fine without them, but we would very much recommend moving to fragments because it simplifies the app layout over multiple screen sizes in the future, especially if the views inside your view pager are more complicated. But lists are pretty simple. There's an example that I knocked up. It's on Google Code. I'll post the link to it, which lets you have multiple lists inside a view pager without any trouble. You just have a list adapter for the view pager, and then each one of the lists can be,
Next up,
fragments are good.
We've got one of the developers of VLC in Android, so welcome to, well, congratulations on launching, I'd say, on Google Play. Being a long time user of VLC on the desktop. asking, can you have multi-APK switching on application ABI, on device ABI? Yes, we've already talked to a number of the developers. Lots of people are asking for it. It's on the roadmap. Hopefully, I just don't know as and when it will ship. But it is something we're looking at. So, sorry, it's not landed yet.
VLC Direct Pro 3. No.
Anyway. So currently I'm developing an application with landscape and portrait orientations enabled. Good. I have a video fragment containing surface view and media player. When I enable this fragment, GCs occurred with long pause suggestions.
I can't say that.
What about you? Anyone understand that question? Long pause.
So it sounds like there's some sort of A&R style thing going on. So when it sounds like the garbage collection is kicking in and then consuming up the UI thread, which it can do on certain chunks of memory. But it's extremely odd, the fact that I'm assuming it's only happening when you're changing orientation. It would be good to get some more information basically on that.
I don't quite understand what they mean by long pause as well.
It might just be a misuse of the term long pause. It just means that the video is starting to stutter and pause when the GCs happen.
Yeah, I guess the key things of working with the media player is making sure you're hooking into all the right life cycle events. So, making sure that when your activity or fragment gets its, life cycle callbacks, you're doing the right things with the media player. So making sure you're kind of freeing up resources and then recreating it. So, yeah, without any more information, it's quite hard to debug this.
Yeah, if you have more information, you can put that in.
I mean, I must admit, most applications tend to, when they start playing video, go into landscape mode by default. I think just for better viewing.
I quite like it, the YouTube way of doing it. So they actually handle rotation changes themselves. They just declare it as a configuration change they handle, and then they just relay out the fragment so that it doesn't actually get destroyed and recreated. They kind of relay it out all themselves. So the effect being that the video is the same video view. It's not destroyed and recreated. They just resize it essentially, and it animates out. So
yeah, I think they just call request layout, don't they?
And I think that's a much
configuration
nicer
change
experience.
Yeah,
I agree. It's a nice. Well, let's just jump to the top.
what about gallery?
Okay, so he's added an extra bit in. When you change the orientation, there's a long pause. The long pause isn't as garbage collection kicks in. I'm guessing the long pause is the relaying out of the orientation change. It's recreating the views from scratch. So if you do the on configuration change and listen for, or put it in the manifest to say that you're going to handle orientation yourself, and then call request layout yourself in the on configuration change, then you should be able to get rid of that. And then it will work the same way that the YouTube app does, and the video can keep playing whilst it's moving around because the surface view isn't being recreated each time. And also, it doesn't need to kill the old one and garbage collect it. It can just keep the current one in memory. Hopefully that helps. Of course, you can go back and watch the video of this.
It's 3 o'clock. We should probably.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be back the same time next week, as Sparkster was asking at the top. So it'll be 2 p.m. next Wednesday. We'll be back on air to answer more of your questions. If you can put them in the moderator, then we can review them during the week and have more complete answers for you as well.
Sorry, this wasn't announced. It was a bit impromptu, but as you can guess, we're in a bit of Google I/O recovery mode after a couple of weeks of running around with all those exciting announcements and sessions. But I'm glad that we could get some people together to chat. So thank you very much for joining us.
And thanks, Johanni, for coming in live as well. It's good to talk to you. And we'll catch you all next week.
Cheers, everyone. And exciting about your book. And anyone who can make it to London, there's a Google TV and YouTube hackathon in London at Google Campus Building from Friday evening?
Yep, Saturday, Friday evening through to Sunday evening. There's prizes and get early access to the YouTube API that I was talking about earlier.
Is there a plus page they can check?
No, there's a YouTube blog somewhere. I will post it on the Google Plus page
All right.
at the end of this.
Thanks very much, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Catch you
Bye.
next week.